Welcome everybody. We are filming today for YouTube so that people who want to know what it is we're doing here, because in the YouTube clips they can only see me. So I wanted to introduce myself. I'm Helen Racz, that's R-A-C-Z, Z on the end. And we are at Spectrum Center in Houston, Texas. Every Thursday we meet in this room. And this is our 4th year. Many people asked if we couldn't do borrowing benefits in a group situation, if I could make it more affordable and available. At that time I was doing it once every 4 months through Leisure Learning. And so I wasn't sure about managing the advertising and the room rental, and I had people say, well, what if we get you started? And so people said, let us donate money to get you started. And I thought, wow, that's an idea. What if I were to just consider it a tithe? I would love to give to the community and make an agreement that as long as donations cover room rental, I will show up every week. And March will begin our 5th year. So we're well past 4.5, I think. So it's been very exciting to come every Thursday. It's never felt like a chore. It's always delightful. I always learn from the tapping also. And a couple things I wanted to walk you through. 5:30 to 6:30, Mindy is here doing hands-on healing, and a lot of time other healers will also show up, and again it's a tithe. We're allowed to use the room, we already are paying for it, and if you'd like to come and sit in that space, it's very nice. If you are a healer and you would like to practice, it's a good way to give back. And if you would like to book an hour with Mindy, you do that through her website, and you can also find her through me. And there are cards in the back. So 5:30 to 6:30 every day in this room. Mindy also teaches Quantum Touch, and I highly recommend workshops in it. You can find out a lot about it online and through Mindy's website, sweetsimplehealing.com. The Quantum Touch, the actual technique, took my tapping to a whole new level. So I do highly recommend it. So I like to begin by giving everybody Gary Craig's disclaimer. Gary Craig is the founder of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. He created it in 1990. Gary Craig retired about a year and a half ago. And his gift, he just felt spiritually called to give EFT to the world. And so he began and said, try it on everything, let it come through you, not by you, and let us know how it works. And so there wasn't a real big parameter around it, which I feel very attracted to. Anybody can learn it. Anybody can do it. It's a wonderful gift. And then a few people started complaining that they didn't understand why so many practitioners were very diverse in it. So then there is training. And on that note, Gary asked those of us who had studied his early work and had developed our own styles to only give a disclaimer. And so I like to do that still. My style with EFT is very unique. It's very rambly, intuitive, a lot of wordplay, not very methodical. So I welcome those who have a good experience, great. If you're not sure, I always recommend check out other YouTube practitioners. Even if you love my style and you have great results, look at the other YouTube practitioners too, or work with other people. Hearing different wording can really be powerful. And so I always recommend that. And I'll tell you a few more ways to get more of it. I just love what EFT can do. So I like to honor Gary Craig for giving it to us and giving us freedom with it to try it. Always. Let's see, I do want to let you know the bathroom is on the other side of the elevator. You do need a key. You do need the right gender key. And this door is unlocked if you want to go in and out that way. We do have DVDs of Gary's original work. And on it, Gary printed, you can give, not sell, to 100 of your closest friends. Well, we've been through a few sets, so I think we're upwards of that number. You can pay a deposit, and I just hold your check. So if you return them, you get your check back for $25. If you don't, then we use that $25 to burn a new set. And so we don't sell them, but we like to keep replacing them because we have been through quite a few. So if you're interested in that, let me know. We have some beautiful binders of them. My favorite is Borrowing Benefits, which is what we're doing tonight. I watched Gary's series of Borrowing Benefits 3 times over a prolonged period. And my eyesight improved in both eyes, and I quit grinding my teeth at night. And I was hooked. That was it, totally hooked. And so tonight we're also doing Borrowing Benefits, which we believe works that no matter what we're tapping on, your subconscious will flip it to something that applies to you. And so I will walk you through that process so you can measure it for yourself. Okay, water. Water's very important. Energy literally moves through a hydrated body more easily. So you made the effort and the time to be here. You want to be sure that you stay hydrated. And there's a way to refill the bottles too back there. And the energy that we're playing with will continue to work for quite a few days. So I suggest for the next few days, when you're thirsty, reach for water first before the other drinks. Okay? Yawning. You might find, I assure you, you will feel very relaxed as we play. And you might find that you yawn. Some people burp, some people sneeze, some people have to pee a lot. It's all energy moving, it's all good. Now this I have not found with other tappers, but in this room where we meet consistently, people do get into a very relaxed state. And the best explanation I've heard for that, the only one I've heard so far, is from Matrix Energetics. That when we begin to work below the conscious mind itself becomes very bored. And so it's almost into a state of sleep. So you will feel very, very relaxed. It's interesting to watch how you try to stay in the chair. And I promise at the end of it, you'll be just fine when you get up and move. On that note, playing with energy is very real. I call it play because it's very joyful to me. And yet I don't mean any disrespect for a lot of the things that I work with that are very, very serious. And yet I want to let you know that it is real. And you can shift and stir things up. Watching YouTube, tapping, even stirring something up in this room. So 2 things I want to request of you. Please don't go home feeling worse than when you came. If you will allow me, if you're not comfortable in front of the group, even after the class, if you just give me a couple of minutes, I can get you in a very nice state. And then whether it stirs up tonight or if you stir up something, months from now, weeks from now, a different day on your own, or with YouTube or another resource, please take responsibility for your health. If you stir something up that's bigger than you can handle, what would that look like? It would be like a headache, a stomach ache. It would be an emotional discomfort that you don't know what to do with and you can't calm down. Now you can shove it back down, but I suggest to you that it's then time to deal with it. Call anybody you work with, any therapist, any practitioner, any healer. All of us who do EFT can work over the phone. You can call me for a private session. I have an office in Katy. I'll lay you in a recliner, tap on you. You will be one with the chair. And on that note, a private session is an hour and a half, and you are in a very altered state. So I ask that we keep our topics in a group with a time limit appropriate. So don't bring up something here that you won't have time to go all the way through that would be better served in a private session. Okay? So what does EFT do well in a group? Absolutely clears memory from old things. If you're new to tapping, and I'm going to walk you through the process specifically, if you're new to tapping, you want to pick something to begin with that's longer ago. An old neighbor, an old schoolmate. You don't want to pick something so immediate for you if you're curious about how this works for you. Because if you pick something very immediate, you will kind of snowball. Gary calls it daisy chaining into different aspects of it. So if it's important to you to measure to see if you're having a result, and the reason that might be important is because you would want to know if you want to do more of this work. Then you're going to want to pick something a little further away that's more controlled. So on that note, most people can think of somebody from long ago, a memory when somebody hurt their feelings or betrayed them or was just a real jerk. And when they think of it, even though they're never going to see that person again, they get upset. They get angry or they want to cry. So I ask, where do you think all that emotion is when you're not thinking about it? My belief is that it's stored in the body. And especially through barring benefits, as you're tapping and clearing these old emotional patterns from the past that you really aren't even interested in today, it allows a greater space for inspiration, for creativity, for joy. So that is why I'm so in love with sharing tapping in a group. And that is what I recognize in my life, that things are easier, I feel better. And I believe it's because as you release that, you're not bogged down with it anymore. So in a group, it's really good to work on old memories. And then also for physical, which we'll get an experience of today. Okay, so let me see, And I did tell you I would give you a couple other resources. YouTube, I really highly recommend YouTube for tapping. You just poke around and find people you like to work with. You like their style. I also have available for people like me who like books, tapping in it visually. You tap and then there's journal pages. So this is the first in a series. This is a workbook on forgiveness. I have 3 more in the works. Tapping into self-love, tapping through grief, and tapping into self-love part 2 through shadow work. And those will all be ready before February. So that's a resource. And another resource I wanted to let you know about is through helenracz.com. We have an audio library from taps like this. Not just Thursday night, but other groups. And they're edited and they're categorized. So you can find them by topic or by date. And the library's a membership fee from anywhere $5 to $10. And you have access to all those taps at any time. So if you enjoy your experience tonight, I invite you to play with that also. And it keeps getting uploaded. But we're over 400 taps now. So, okay, so that, and one more piece I would like to share with you. When I'm tapping, Gary always taught, let it come through you, not by you. And apparently my subconscious really relates to that. So I am free-flowing a lot of information. I do a lot of wordplay, positive, negative, positive, negative. I also teach. I also do a lot of coaching. And I always teach, if you don't want more of it, don't speak it. I'm very careful about my language, what I say, what I intend, what I mean, what I'm creating through my words. Unless you're tapping, you're with a doctor or you're with a therapist or a healer. So when we tap, I'm going to be saying things that I wouldn't use in normal language. My personal favorite is revenge taps. I think they're great fun, but I would never speak that if I was not tapping. So you'll hear me say many negative things, many different perspectives and positive, negative. If you want to know what I personally think, please ask me when I'm not tapping. I'll be glad to share that with you. But when I'm tapping, we're covering the whole perspective from many different angles. And that, in doing that, people have great shifts. Okay? So I speak differently when I'm tapping and when I'm not. Giving you a heads up. Okay, so are we ready to learn the spots? This is the karate chop spot. If you were going to karate chop something, that's what you would hit with. This is one way to tap. I like to use fingertips. And I suggest when you're tapping on yourself to switch sides. Okay? The top of the head, if you come up from the ears, it's pretty much the top of your head. Just gently up here. You can't get it wrong if you're not sure. Move around a little bit. When you think of the eye spots, what you want to imagine is the human skull. What we want to do is stay on this bony ridge. So think of a skull and how there's a socket here, this bone. So if you take 2 fingers and you put it right where the eyebrow begins, if you wiggle that, you'll feel that ridge. That's what we want to be on, that bone. 1 hand, 2 hands, all good. And when you come to the side of the eye, you don't want the temple, you want this bone. So gently touch, you can wiggle and feel it. Remember, we're staying on this ridge. Under the eye, nice gentle tap, same thing, find the bone. Under the nose, that one's easy. Chin is actually the dip in. It's below the lip and above the chin. The collarbone is actually just below the collarbone. So you have your collarbone and you come down a little bit. These are your K27s. So just under the collarbone. If you're not sure, just move around. And I'm only tapping left so I don't hit the mic today. I always like to make a fist. And if my top knuckle's on my collarbone, that feels really soothing to me. My bottom 3 knuckles are in the right place. So if you ever see me doing this when I'm telling you something, it means I'm really nervous. Let's see, under the arm, for us girls, that's bra strap, underarm. Some women prefer this way. And for the gentlemen, it's nipple line and underarm. And then Gary has books out. I highly recommend them. I have a few in the back to make it easy for you, but you can get them on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, even some of the bookstores carry them. He had in liver spleen. Now for us girls, it's as high as we can go on the rib cage. And for the gentlemen, it's called UN for under nipple. So on the men, it's very high on the chest. And then the last 2 spots, if you tap the front of your wrists together, that's 2 spots. And if you tap the back of your wrists together, that's 2 spots. Okay? So that is the sequence. That's what we'll be playing with. Okay, so Oh, and since we're filming for YouTube, I invite you all, I don't do this often in a group, I've never needed it, and I don't do it often with a client, but I will do this by myself if I feel stuck. Stuck means the energy, the emotion's not moving as fast as I would like it to. So this is called the 9 gamut. It is in Gary's books. I found it difficult to get it just from reading it, so I'd like to show it to you. You tap on the side of where the skin and the nail meets. You tap there on the fingers. And originally they skipped the ring finger, but I love the way Gary teaches. He says, you know, it's not going to hurt anything. You just do all the fingers. Isn't that easier than remembering which one to switch? And then the easiest way for you to do this, I'm going to hold my hand up for a minute. If you come down from the ring and the pinky finger down into a V, you're going to aim for right in this V. Okay, now the easiest way for you to do this with me is put your hand on your lap. Tap in that V. Now this part you tap and you're not going to talk for just a second. So keep tapping, don't stop tapping, but I want you to look at me and pretend I'm holding your chin. So keep your head locked on me. So ready? Eyes open, eyes closed, you're still tapping, eyes open, pretend I'm holding you, hard down to the right, come back to me, hard down to the left, come back to me. Now holding your head very steady while you tap. Big circle with the eyes one direction, big circle with your eyes the other direction. And now we're all going to hum for 5 seconds, any tune. Now I want you to count out loud to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now hum again. And that's the 9 gamut. And let me tell you, I'm really glad I never need that one with anybody. If you don't lose them on the name, emotional freedom technique, you pretty much lose them on the 9 gamut. So I haven't found I need that when there's the synergy of more than one person. But for myself, I will do it, so I was glad to give you an example of it. Okay, shall we play?